251s there, and I don't do mornings. And the voice you heard there was Dara MacGabhann, and she is lying because she is in studio with us this morning, and alongside her is Caoimhe O'Dwyer of Artists Exchange. Dara is here in her capacity, and you wear many hats, Dara, as a member of the Monaghan Poets and Songwriters Association. You're both very, very welcome to Town Talk. Now you're here to talk about a collaboration. You've got together, I was going to say you've got together to collaborate for the Culture Night 2021, but I think this is the start of something that's going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah, it actually goes back further than Culture Night, but I think Caoimhe will tell you about that, where it came from, the idea of it.
Sure, yeah. So if you kind of come back to the beginning of lockdown, everybody was at home, cut off, and we were all thrown into a new world of Zoom and communicating online. And AAEX, which is the group that I'm a member of, Artists Exchange, we have Zoom calls to meet up every few weeks, and one of the founder members, Susan Farrelly, suggested that we all start actually turning our cameras towards our work and using our work as the focus. Zoom was so new to everybody, not everybody was comfortable in front of the camera, so this was a lovely way kind of to let the work speak and break the ice. And then after that there were a number of other projects that AAEX did with the members, and it was a way just to stay connected during such a difficult time. And also during that time I lost my father to COVID very early in 2020, so that was something else that I was trying to cope with on top of everything. So again, I felt that the work had a kind of a healing power to it, and if I wasn't comfortable maybe putting myself out there on camera, I could do it through the work. So this then, slowly but slowly, I had this plan, thinking back to college days. It would be great to collaborate with another group or, with writers. And it goes back a while. And it wasn't until maybe Julie Corcoran suggested MOPOSOGS. She's a good friend of Dara's, and she was kind of new enough to AAEX, and she said, I think I know just the group for this. And that's how the relationship began. And so then we went from having our maybe individual group Zooms to having one where we all came together to discuss the project and to talk about how we would proceed. So it all happened really in a very sort of organic way, and everybody submitted a piece of work on both sides, and Dara and I were in charge of handing out the work, and we didn't pair everybody up in advance. What we did instead was, I had a list of the members' names in alphabetical order, and as I received the work from Dara, I assigned a piece. So it really was done in, it wasn't pre-selected. Which brings us to the beauty of
if you can imagine, sorry,
go ahead, Dara,
if you can imagine that everybody had, I suppose, submitted a piece from their own archive and passed it on, and then what you got is you submitted something, but you also had to respond to somebody else's. So it was a bit like Chris Kendall. You didn't know who you were going to get back. It wasn't necessarily the same person you gave to. So what we had was like 92 pieces of work created. It's incredible, really, what happened. And I don't think you can even describe the buzz that was on those Zoom meetings. We had 3 Zoom meetings. We thought it was going to be 1, but it ended up 3 in order to share all this stuff, and full of serendipity as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were so many pairings that just turned out to be just a match made in heaven. Really, we were so emotional, like you can get in goosebumps, seeing the connections and listening to it. And it really was a wonderful way for all of us to feel connected to the outside world during what everybody was trying to navigate through, which is such a difficult time. Even though there were openings at different stages, our groups didn't get together physically. And Culture Night is going to be the first night that we are together as 2 physical groups as one, with our event, which is called Awash With Colour. So.
Awash With Colour. We eventually got there. Awash With Colour. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it is. It's very exciting. So Culture Night, as we know, is 17th of September. So we're going to be in St. Helena's Park. We will have the 2 sets of groups there, whoever can attend. And I know that MOPOSOGS, who are Monaghan Poets and Songwriters group, they will have 8 people there to recite or sing their work. And of course, they're paired up with quite a few different people on the other side. So even though it's one person, they might be paired with 2 or 4, because some of ours did 4 pieces, because there's fewer of us than there are of AAEX, of course. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and it's a free event. This is the big thing. So I think from today you can register on Eventbrite. It's AAEX. Now let me see now. AAEX.eventbrite.ie. So you can register there. Numbers are limited, so if you want to go, you want to get in there today now and get your ticket.
Get your ticket.
It will be limited numbers due to COVID. But as we say, it's outdoors, and we'll be in the bandstand.
And then St. Helena's Park, which is a great venue as well. So what exactly, if people go down there on the night, I mean, obviously there will be a bit of poetry recitals and singing, but what about the AAEX side of it, the art?
Well, the plan is that the artists will present their work while the piece is being performed. We will also have some of the artwork on display, not the full quota, because as Dara mentioned, we have over 90 pieces of work in total, and our event is, we'll be setting it up in the afternoon so people can come along and see the artwork, but the actual recital starts at 6 p.m. till 8, so you wouldn't get time to give the work justice, which brings us to our next thing, which is the main event that we're leading up to, which Dara is responsible for.
I'm responsible of giving me the task now. So this it's just taken legs, basically, Marissa. It's one of these things that has captured the imagination of a lot of people, anyone we talk to, no more than yourself asking us to come in, and thank you. We were talking to Jackie in Aontas, the theatre there in Castleblaney, and she got so excited about the whole thing and shuffled around her other exhibitions in order to fit us in. So on the 9th of December, we will have a launch of the project. It'll probably be about 45 minutes of a performance, and there will be all the work on display, including the written work beside each art piece. So you'd be able to see exactly how they were inspired. I mean, we can't even describe that whole inspiration thing that went on, but as I said, it's if you see both together, if you see the words and if you see the picture, you might grasp how things just locked in. I mean, we'd one from our group who wrote a piece on the Antrim coast, and the girl who got the email, then the artist, she happens to be on the Antrim coast, and and she's seen the things that are in the poem, or that kind of thing was happening. It was a lot of, like, the High Kings was another poem that was from Shauna Martin, and the girl who got that is so into Irish mythology and stuff, and she happened to be just up on Tara. I mean, just mad stuff.
And you allocated them completely randomly,
Completely. In fact, our ones were a little bit worried about getting ones that were abstract, because they were, oh God, will I be able to interpret it? And, I know I got one, and it was Niamh O'Connor's, and she comes back, you nailed it. You got it bang on, exactly what I'm saying. And this is the kind of thing that was happening. How we managed to feed off each other perfectly was unreal. It was just, you couldn't have written it. It just happened.
Yeah. And also, I have to say, when the work started coming into me, I was receiving all the artworks. I just felt such a huge responsibility for everybody's work, because they just had put so much into it, and and then you feel like you have to really do justice to it and treat everybody's work with due respect. But also, just back to the culture night is actually the beginning of a bigger event that's going to be in St. Helena's Park, which runs the whole weekend, and this is the AAEX 5-year birthday celebration, and there's going to be lots of events running over the whole weekend, and I have to say that we have to give Sarah Daly and Creative Spark her thanks for her continued support. She's been there, since AAEX was launched 5 years ago with Bernard Gall, and they really, without Creative Spark, many of us as artists wouldn't have a place to teach, and we may not have met. I've met so many wonderful artists there and collaborated with them since. So it's lovely to just see everything come full circle, and it'll be a great weekend. Lots going on for the whole family.
So good thanks to Create Loud and the Arts Council for that.
Yes, exactly.
But when you say that, Kiva, because I can recall 5 years ago, and if you'd said to me how long are AAEX around, I would have said, oh, well, okay, we kind of lost a year and a half, maybe about 3 years. I just cannot believe, that's
I think probably
5 years ago.
Yeah, it's picked up pace, hasn't it? And more and more events have just been kind of created through the members. So it's gone from started out with 13 members and it's now up to 40 active members. So, and there's lots of little projects going on within, different little groups doing things and projects and collaborating. And it's also, you just get involved when you can. So there isn't that pressure that you have to do everything. So you'll find then at that event over the weekend that lots of different people are working on projects that happened at different stages over, the last couple of years, and they're presenting work and running workshops and that kind of thing.
So it'll be similar with our crowd as well. Like we're on the go 11 years, started 2010. So like that, we've had members who are still there from the very start. You've had others that are transient, and you have the floaters who come in and out, as I call them. But like that, I think just the fact that with this project, you're having such a range of different stuff. Like from our side, you've got poems, you've got songs, you've got bits of prose, short stories, and then on the other side you're talking about oil painting, you're talking lino,
sculpture,
ceramic. Yeah. So it's such a mix of different art. It's like you've just poured it all into one pot and poured it back out again, and it's all mixed up. It's amazing.
Both very diverse groups.
Very diverse, and you're getting everything
really
there.
Complement each other, so it is. Yeah, it's a lovely...
Another thing to mention as well is actually on the Zooms, and we were just talking about before we came in, the fact that there were, the laughter and the tears. And there was people emotional with some of the work. Emotional with responses that they got, and sometimes happy emotions that they just couldn't believe somebody could write a song about this picture, or vice versa. So I think that really needs a mention, that it was so emotive, the whole thing. Particularly the last event, I think there was a lot of tears and emotion that went on, and that, and it rings through to everybody. If somebody feels something that much, I think we all felt it for them, in a sense. So
and I do think that the last 18 months has been very difficult on people, and artists especially. We're one of the last to be allowed to go back to work, although many of us have been working away at home, but with the restrictions, that's just the way, that's just the way it turned out. So I think that connection was vital, And
then you mentioned earlier on, I'm very sorry to hear about your dad, Kiva, but did you find then this whole experience was cathartic in the end?
Oh, I definitely do. Yes, I do. Just at the beginning, I don't think I would have been able to face people on the camera. So I was definitely muted and, video off, and then gradually, little by little, then, you are connecting through something, and it's sort of a distraction. But all through the lockdown, I was drawing and sketching and painting every day, just to try and fit something in for myself during a time that, the whole country was locked down, everybody was in their family bubble. We're trying to homeschool, a big family, all in primary school, and then, just to try and take it out of the mundane, because every day it's nearly like Groundhog Day. So the other thing we did was we sea swim, and we got really into it during the lockdown. So every day we just follow the tides and drop everything and head off for a swim. So one of my pieces is related to that, and the response was from Miffy Hode to my piece, which is kind of an abstract seascape, and her response was just incredible. So much so, we were all left speechless, after these, recitals, and, she really got what it was about, and the whole thing was it was really moving. And when we, Culture Night is going to be great, and we're really looking forward to having, the 8 performers, but again, at Iantis, we're planning to have everybody, and again, that's just going to be another, great excitement that we'll have everybody together performing. We'll have all the artists together. So, at the beginning, we didn't know what was going to happen with the project.
No, we purposely didn't want to. We didn't want to preempt because we hadn't met each other. And I suppose there is the scared thing that you have as well. Oh, it's your own personal work.
Yes.
Will these artists like what you do? And we all had that. I don't know. You probably were the same.
We were all the same.
You know, that like, oh God, will they be impressed by us? Will they this, that, and the other? Anyway, we'll get on. But in actual fact, you know, we did gel and it went great. But the fact that we're now able to show that and that other people are excited by it, you know, the fact that we're able to go to Intas, maybe have those pieces of work, and you imagine them projected up behind the performers. You know, you can see it. We couldn't imagine that at the start. We were actually afraid to, because if you start going in there, oh, we'll do this, we do a book, we do a performance, we'll do this, whatever. If you start going in with that before you even meet each other, you might lose the dynamic, you know. We decided to wait and see. Let's just float it out. And it flowed, literally.
And that's it.
Flowed.
We went with the flow, and this is where we are now, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
with lots more prospects as well.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there are things that are coming down the line, but we can't really speak about them because they're not totally confirmed. But it looks like it will be a touring exhibition.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we would hope to bring it back then to Dundalk after showing it at Intas.
Yeah. But there's other places interested in us.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
Can I ask you for a minute just on, well, obviously it is a linked subject, but Dara, I said there at the beginning, you wear a lot of hats, and you know, we listened to you singing there. You haven't been able to perform for 18 months, and I think from today live music is returning. Are you
no, that's good.
welcoming that, or is it after all this time, oh my goodness, you know?
Yeah, it's been tough. It has been tough. You know, just the fact that you can't get the gigs, you can't go out. I mean, I suppose we spent our time, especially in the beginning when you were doing all these, you know, linking in myself and Andy, who plays with me, it's 251s. Like we were doing all these videos where you're sending them back and forth, trying to, you know, he'd play the guitar, then I have to do my bit and do the singing, and then send it back, and then he does his back and singing on it, and you're putting these up on Facebook and stuff. Really just to keep you tied in. It's like what Caoimhe was saying, trying to keep yourself, that you don't lose your inspiration or your artist mind, you know, trying to keep the artist alive in you, I suppose. And that was difficult. It definitely was difficult, you know, to keep that going. Definitely.
So obviously then when this project came along, you just grabbed it with both hands. It was a way to...
Well, like Caoimhe said, we were also meeting up on Zoom. MOPOSOGS we meet twice a month, and we were doing that. We were meeting on Zoom. Some people aren't happy with Zoom, so you don't get everybody in. When things lifted a bit, I suppose, last summer, and that we had a few meetings ourselves. We happened to meet at Christmas in our usual haunt of the Market House in Monaghan, thanks to the arts office there. But, you know, it depended on what way restrictions were, and it, you know, and that was difficult. So, yeah, we're delighted. Things are finally lifting, and can't wait to get out there and play to a live audience again. We're here, you can book us.
But in the meantime, on Friday week, you will be... would this nearly be the official launch of the Awash With Colour, or...?
I suppose in a sense it is. It's like we're kind of saying Intas as the biggie.
Yes, but this is definitely a taster of more to come.
Yeah.
And a great introduction to what has been a wonderful project. Yeah. And I have to say the other thing about Zoom, we have to say the advantages of Zoom, that, you know, coming together with 40 people might not have happened if we tried to plan that in person. You know, if there was no lockdown. So timing has a lot to do with everything, and Zoom has made it possible, because as we were chatting just before we came in here, we have members from all over the place. Both groups have members from...
Sure, we've one coming from Detroit. Yes, actually coming in from Detroit.
Yeah, dialing in from Detroit on this project, which is amazing. And we've lots of members that have maybe were in Dundalk but have moved away, and then new members coming from Monaghan and Caoimhe and so on. So we've all been able to connect and stay connected. So you have to look at the positives as well, and there have been many positives that have come out of this, you know.
Excellent. Well, we can see the first of those positives on Friday week, the 17th, in St. Helena's. What time?
From 6 p.m.
6 p.m. And if just before I let you go, maybe you just remind people where they go to reserve a ticket, because it is limited numbers.
Yeah, it's AAEX.eventbrite